All right, everyone. Welcome to the Mother's Day Zoom. How you going, Tom?
Hey, how we doing?
Welcome. Hey, welcome.
Hi, Tom.
As everyone knows, it's Mother's Day on Sunday, so I thought it'd be a nice little treat for your mums to all join us today and ask a few questions about you. They've known since you were born, and go one by one. Reed, I might start off with you.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Clearly, you're Hodjo's mother. That's what he was like growing up. Naughty or nice? Why was it?
Well, just for the record, he's Hoddo back here.
Hoddo?
Yeah.
Where did that name come from?
Well, that's how it originated, from when he was at school. He's always been Hoddo, and I was Mrs. Hoddo's mum.
So was he a good kid when he was Hoddo?
You wouldn't know because he didn't talk. He grunted till he was about 17. So it was a bit hard to work out, wasn't it, Matt?
The same. Oh, you only speak when you're spoken to.
Now he speaks all the time.
Yeah. Matthew was the middle child, and his sister and younger brother are really talkative, but Matt was always, and I think still is, probably the quiet one.
You might need to check that up soon. So I'll get some questions. Where did Hoddo start?
Sorry, Reese, what was that?
Where did Hoddo start playing rugby?
Down at Avoca. So he and his dad and his younger brother all went down when we moved to the Avoca Beach from Sydney, and they all went down to Avoca, and they all played rugby together in different stages. So how old were you, Matt, when you started rugby?
Would have been about 7.
Yeah, and you played rugby league before that.
What was he better at?
He didn't care. As long as he had a ball in his hand, he didn't care.
He's still the same. What were you thinking when he first moved to Perth?
I wasn't worried because I figured he'd be home in 2 years, because his original contract was 2 years with the Force, and I thought that's okay. He'll be home in 2 years. So that was good, but he still hasn't come home, and it's been, what, love, 15 years?
Yeah, 2005, November 2005, left home, or
yeah,
left Sydney.
And Perth, with the greatest respect, is a long way from Sydney.
Does it seem like he's been away for a long time, or has the time flown by since he's gone?
Feels like he's been gone forever. Having said that, we usually see him a few times a year, and we FaceTime him and the grandkids. He doesn't say anything, but we FaceTime him and Jody and the grandkids once a week.
Everyone knows Jody and my kids, so do I have a choice of speaking?
So I don't think you can get a word in, can you, love?
I saved the only oxygen left for breathing.
As you can tell, he's very dry.
No, he's not. He's obviously been here for a long time and he's accomplished heaps while he's been at the Force. What is your most proud moment, I guess, of Matt's life?
Are you talking about rugby or generally?
How about both?
Oh, okay. Look, I remember, and I've probably said it for some, I remember I was very fortunate. I flew over for that graduation or end of year thing when it was his last game. And I think the thing I really love about Matt, against all odds, he follows his dream.
Oh, that's nice to say.
And the goal kick. Goal kick. Don't forget the goal kick.
Well, I was there, but I didn't watch the game.
Missed the best game he's played in all his life. Matt, what's the thing you miss most, I guess, about your mum and not having her around?
Well, it's a lot less stressful not having her around. No, so yeah, obviously I played a fair few better games, but I reckon my mum's probably only watched about 10 minutes in total all up. She gets too nervous and she often hides behind the stadium or has to watch it the next day on TV, just knowing that I've gotten through it. So it's pretty good now talking to her, not using rugby, not having to play rugby or show her my next broken bone or stitch. So, but yeah, just probably the connection. Obviously, best thing about Perth is the distance from Sydney, but it's also the worst thing about it. So they're missing the holidays, the birthdays and stuff like that. It's probably the hardest part.
Oh, there you go. Rick. At least you know he misses you.
Yeah. Well, the truth is, I've never watched him live, either on television or at a game, play the actual game, because I'm too ill. I feel ill, so I wait till the game's over and his dad says he's fine, and then I watch the replay the next day.
You care about him too much, that's why. I'll move on to the next mother that we have. We've got a game that I'm going to play with everyone. It's called Guess That Baby. You can obviously guess who the baby on screen is at the moment, but the next one will pop up. If anyone wants to yell out the answer, you get a free chocolate from Hodjo.
That's
Oh,
Sitchy.
that's Sitchy.
Is it that obvious? Caroline, your son has rugby in his DNA, obviously. Both grandfathers being quite prominent, you've mentioned in rugby back home. How did Ian find rugby, I guess? What made him love it?
Well, we had a couple of boys that lived next door to us, and they used to come over after school every day, and they were playing rugby or cricket or something in the back garden until they were called for dinner, really. It just never stopped.
Ian, anything to add?
Yeah, I didn't like doing homework, so that was a way of getting out of it. Just playing sport.
Ian seemed like a bit of a handful when he was growing up, considering those angry facials that you just saw on the photo. What was he like when he was a child?
Well, I could never find my wooden spoons, and I heard later on in life, like only a few years ago, they're all in the hedge back in the old property.
Why were they there?
He used to hide them.
I used to get in trouble a lot, so I'd preempt it whenever Mum bought a new wooden spoon. I'd hide it.
Oh, God. All right, and considering your mum lives over east, do you get to see your parents much?
Yeah, obviously, pretty fortunate that we get to travel a fair bit as part of rugby. So get to see her and Dad and my sister Michelle, who's over in Brisbane as well, a fair bit. And probably more so now that Riley's along. They probably want to see her more than they used to want to see me. But I'm pretty lucky. Mum and Dad always made it to most games, or certainly watched live most games on TV. Been very supportive, and yeah, wouldn't be here without them. So very lucky.
They were a pretty big influence when you were growing up playing rugby, I guess.
Yeah, they just whatever it was I was doing, they were always very supportive. And it was cricket, rugby, a little bit of academics, not much of academics in there, but I was just sports mad. And you know, when it was cricket season, it was 7 days a week of cricket. When it was rugby season, it was the same. And you know, like all parents, drove me to every training. I don't know how they sat and watching cricket all day, Saturday and Sunday. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, again, I wouldn't have made it to where I am without their support and their love.
Back to you fully. Caroline, what's the thing you miss most about Ian being home? I know it's been a while.
Yeah,
So
just just his presence, really. He's a very loyal person, and very caring and thoughtful, and it's just a good in our family, really.
And Ian, what's the thing you miss most about your mum being around? Cleaning up after yourself.
Yeah, Mum's cooking. She always had her signature dishes, which I always used to love coming home to. Roast lamb was one of my faves. Obviously brownie for a bit of dessert. And then doing my laundry. She was very good at doing my laundry. I certainly missed that. Different having to wash your own undies and stuff like that.
It's very handy. They're sitting on the left-hand side there, being very serious.
So I have to
Mr. Wood.
tell you that 4 of these boys ended up playing professional rugby
Wow.
from this little team in
Which one?
1998.
Can you point them out?
So middle back is Dave Denton, who played for Scotland and Leicester Tigers. 2 to his right, in the back behind me is Marco Mumma. He plays for Worcester. I think he's been capped for England A. And I'm not sure the other one, Mum. You'll probably have to.
I think he got injured, so his rugby career got cut short. But yeah, he also played high-level rugby.
There you go.
And how old are you in this one, actually?
This is grade 3,
8.
I think.
So it's 1998.
Grade 4. Grade 4, yeah. No, grade 3, grade 4, yeah. Barefoot in the fields. Used to run cross country barefoot in Zimbabwe as well until you were in grade 7.
So you're the
Wow.
Right, now we'll move on now. Another episode of Guess That Baby. Can anyone figure out who this one is?
Dilla Cram.
Shemo.
Nettie's
Change, Shemo.
Right, it hasn't changed at all.
2-hand ball carrier. Impressive.
Even the position on the footy card at forward.
Mate.
Oh,
whole
no
pack.
helmet though.
Fiona, I'll start chatting to you now. What was Tom like when he was growing up? Naughty or nice?
Oh, like all kids, a bit of both. But he was really probably a nice kid. He used to, yeah. I have to say, he was a nice kid. He's always been, nice to talk to. He's been good company. He can be exceptionally stubborn, and if he made his mind up to not to do something, you had to make a game out of it to turn him around to actually get him to do anything. But he's a good kid.
You have an example of one of those episodes?
Well, when his sister went to kindy, and he's 18 months younger than her, although everybody thought they were twins because he's so much bigger. I'd take him to kindy and he wouldn't leave. And, he was 2.5 and he had to leave. So what I got to the stage, and he was a big boy. He was a big boy. So I'd drag him to the door and I'd say, Tom, assume the position. And he'd bend over. So we'd be facing each other. He'd bend over. I'd pick him up, so he was facing outwards. His knees would be over my shoulder. And I could then carry him or really stagger to the car. It's the only way I could ever get him out of the kindy. Everybody thought that was pretty funny.
You must have loved it there. Tom was obviously quite good at a number of sports. If he wasn't playing rugby, do you have any idea what you think he'd be doing?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, he played cricket. He played water polo. Gridiron, they certainly wanted him to keep playing gridiron. As you can see, he's almost the defence in himself. And he's really played every sport that he's wanted to. Just about every sport he has played, he's actually done okay in, because he's just that way inclined. And if he sets his mind to something, he does it. Oh, I think he'd like to be a professional golfer. And the money that comes with it.
Athletic and determined.
Yeah.
You're in a privileged position being located in Perth, actually. What's your most memorable rugby and life moment of Tom's?
Life moment was, he was a big kid and he got a bit bullied when he was at primary school, because we always told him, gentle, don't ever hit back. And little kids would come up and actually punch him. And he never punched, he never hit back. So we moved him to a different school, and the headmaster there said, Tom, a well-rounded boy will do well both academically and at sport and other things. And, look, I want to see you graduate primary school with, a really good well-rounded boy will get a music scholarship or a music prize and a sports prize. And that's what he did. He got a music prize and he got the rugby prize. And I think that was one of my proudest moments of him, because he loved this man, and he really worked hard. From a rugby point of view, I think, you know, his first state selection is very closely followed by his force cap. Yeah, incredibly proud moments for us as a family. He's determined. He was told all his life that, you know, he really was the wrong shape for playing rugby, and he just worked really hard and showed them what he could do.
Told them.
Mm.
I didn't realise he was a muso. What instrument does he play?
Oh, plays the trombone and the piano. But yeah, he got a music scholarship for trombone.
Oh, nice. Tom, what was it like having your parents around? How much of an influence were they on you growing up?
Oh, huge. It's always handy having your parents around and being able to live off them. And then with my dad, he's always worked hard with everything that he's done. And like with his job, he gets called in all hours of the day and night, and he never complains, just gets up and does it. So I think I kind of taken that work ethic from him, knowing that he's just never complained. The only time I've ever seen him really have time off was when he caught the flu and was almost dying for 2 weeks. That's the only time I've ever seen him really take time off from work. And then with mum, she's just always, everything I've ever needed, she's been there and able to help me and support me through it and drive me around basically the whole way through WA, drop me off at trainings and games and being able to support me that way. So it's been so helpful being able to have them around to rely on to help me out whenever I need it.
But he was going to play rugby over my dead body.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that, Fiona?
Oh, well, because my husband played rugby when we first met, and he used to get injured all the time, so I thought it was a dreadful game. And he took Tom down when he was about 5 to the local Nedlands club, and Tom was hooked. And I just said, no, this is not happening. It's over my dead body. And I lost. Certainly was never going to be a front rower, but still, he loves it. That's you know, you can't stop your interview or get in the way of something when your child really loves something. You just got to support them all the way.
Definitely have. You definitely have. Tom,
Your ranking's dropping out.
Tom, what have you got planned for Mother's Day coming up?
We're actually about to head around to their place in about 20 minutes. So it's kind of convenient. We got Dad's birthday was yesterday as well. So having a little dinner and stuff tonight with the whole family. So yeah, a bit of early Mother's Day.
You got more to talk about now, mate.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stitch up we got.
Sorry about it. Next episode of Guess That Baby.
Oh, that's definitely Dom.
Holy heckers. Wow.
Wow, wait.
That is Dom. What was Dom like growing up as a child, naughty or nice?
Oh, a delight, an absolute delight. Dom has always had the ability from a very, very young age to make us laugh, and still does.
What is your most memorable moment of Dom's, both in rugby and in life?
Rugby is really hard because there've been so many. He played for his local club and was actually at one point playing in the backs, and he rather liked that, so went to school where he played in the front row and said to his rugby coach that he'd really quite like to play in the backs next season. And the rugby coach said, well, I can do that, but there'll be 2 or 3 names before you in the team sheet if you want to play in the backs. But if you stay in the forwards, you're the first name on every team sheet. And he sort of thought long and hard about it and decided that he would stick with it and practice. And to be honest, he's been there ever since. We've had some great moments. He's played for some fantastic teams and really good games, and we followed him the length and breadth of the country. And we've actually worked out that the only games that we've missed are the ones that we haven't been able to see televised in Australia now. We've seen actually every single game that he's played, so it's been fantastic. And in terms of Dom as a person, he's just an all-round good egg, really. He tends to be a little bit quiet, doesn't tend to be boastful about what he does, but he's determined. Whatever he sets his mind to, he will achieve, and we're just really proud of him.
He is a very humble guy. What were you thinking when he said, "I'm jumping on to go play rugby in Australia"?
She couldn't wait to get rid of me.
How soon could I get my ticket? We actually have relatives who live on the East Coast, so we've been a couple of times anyway. But no, it was following his dream. It was something he needed to do, wanted to do, and obviously, you know, hasn't looked back since, really.
Have you been able to make it to a few of our games?
We've not seen him play for Western Force. When we came out, he was playing at West Scarborough. And we still have our flights booked for the 3rd of June with a view to coming to the GRR final, but obviously that's not happening now, so we're postponing those. We've not cancelled our flights, we'll just postpone them to see what happens and to see when you'll let us in.
You'll get let in next year for sure. Dom, what do you miss most about your mum being around?
Oh, there's definitely many things. The constant conveyor belt of food that's around our house is unbelievable. Probably why I ended up in the front row. But yeah, no, just being around everyone back home is always nice. With the four of us at home, you know, that's that sort of thing I miss.
And what were your parents' influence on you, I guess, growing up?
Oh, just so incredibly supportive. Couldn't ask for anything. Like Mum said, they were there at every game, near enough, and yeah, just never said no to doing the right thing.
Back to you the whole way, mate. Anyway, our last episode, by way of elimination, last episode of Guess That Baby. You can see it there. There's a little bugger throwing the shuckers.
Damn, he's cute though.
Some would say.
Oh, yeah.
Sam, what was Kevin like growing up as a child?
I'd say he would have been nice. He was always he's the youngest, so we call him Bubba because he's the baby.
How many siblings does he have?
He's got 2 older brothers. And
when he was younger?
pardon?
Did they rough him around when he was younger?
Oh, did they what?
Yes, they did. So Seven always got away with things as well, being the youngest. So he used to do it, blame his brothers, so then they beat him up. But, yeah.
I recall it happening.
He's our actor. He likes to watch movies and then reenact them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit of a pretend in the backyard. I love a good war story, and I'll be out in the backyard with my stick or my branch, and I'll be pretending to be in the war movie or whatever. I used to love the old rugby ball in the living room. I would set up like a little square box, and whenever like someone great would like Doug Howlett or Joe Rokocoko for these All Blacks would score a try, I'd reenact scoring that try in the living room, and I'd be rolling around on the bloody living room floor, and Dad would be like, "Mate, you're not going to be scoring tries like that. You just leave it alone and sit down and watch the game." But yeah, I was a bit of a pretender when I was a child.
Still does it, to be honest.
Except for now he wears a Wallaby jersey, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right. That was the Wallaby jersey, so won't be performing the hugger, but that's all right. Yeah, that's good though.
Next best thing. Where did Tevin start his rugby career?
So we're in because we're obviously living in New Zealand. It would have been a little town called Tikawiti, where Pine Tree Colin Meads is born, and he would have been 4.
4 years old. I can see him in his King Country shirt in that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's the story behind that. He made the Roller Malls twice, but the second time we struggled because obviously he had to be under 55 kilos, and Tevin always blamed us for his weight because we owned our own business in a butcher shop, which was right next door to a bakery. And Albus, the little Chinese man there, we used to supply him with the mince for his pies. And obviously, Tevin always took the mince over to the guy to get the free donuts and cakes and pies. So we had to obviously dieted him a lot. The day of weigh-in, his dad and his uncle took him to be weighed in. They saunaed him that morning, and in the shopping centre, they used the scales at a chemist, and they made him strip down to his undies in the whole shopping centre. And he just made it in.
Yeah.
He was borderline.
My grandfather was he used to always tell me, because Roller Malls back in New Zealand's like, it's under 13 or under 12. And I made it when I was 10. And then the second year that's what I had to go through in order to make it. So I was 2 years younger than all the rest and still too heavy. And I used to be like, Granddad, I can make it the third year. I promise you I can make it. And then we moved over to Australia. But I used to always be like, I could make that weight, like not a problem. But no one ever believed me, and I never got to go back and trial. But when I came over to Australia, I actually played AFL for a season. Don't let anyone know that, but played AFL for a season, and I was way too heavy. And that was training as an AFL person. So I always said that I could make that weight if I was a year older, but there's no way that I would be able to make 55 kilos at that age.
We actually had his old coach from Roller Malls said to us that if he could, that they wanted him back for that third year, and they'd pay for him to go home. And I said, so he's got too much junk in this trunk, and he's not going to go anywhere.
That actually leads me on to my next question. What was the moving from the Tron? How did Tim cope with the move? I guess such a massive move from New Zealand to Perth.
At first it was a little bit hard because there's no rugby in Geraldton. So that's where we went to first. The husband got a job out there, and there was no rugby, but we didn't tell the kids until we moved there. And then when they found out there was no rugby, Tevin was like, no way in hell, we have to have rugby. So at his school, he put up a sign on the notice board and said, write your name down, want to play rugby. I've got a coach. And then it was his father. So he ended up with about 30 odd kids, and all walks of life. And so Tevin put this team together, and his father coached it, and just happened that his school teacher, Tamara Williams, played for Wanneroo. I think she was Australian Wallabies, women's Wallabies team, and she played for Wanneroo, so she got the games for them down at Wanneroo. And she was a school bus driver, so they used to travel down to Wanneroo, sleep in the club rooms on the floor, and play rugby. And then they went to Country Week, and Tevin got picked up. They had Nathan Sharps come around to Country Week, and then Tevin got picked up from there for the training trials for the North and South. It's North and South. And it all started from there. So we're traveling 5 hours on weekends, 5 hours down to play, 5 hours for one training, and then turn around and drive back another 5 hours to go back to Geraldton that night. and then he got picked, and so we were down every weekend and midweek games.
I think if I was to have to look back on like those sort of moments, like I think, you know, it's like moments like that, they really like shape you. And like when I look back on them now, it's pretty amazing what my parents did for me back then, because like 5 hours just to go training for a team at 14 years old, you know, no right parent in their mind would just be like, you know what, I'll take you down there to train. You're not in the team yet, you're just training, and I'll drive you 5 hours down. We'd pack our pillows and stuff in the back seat, and I would sleep on the way back up, and would get back home early hours of the morning, like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I would get a few hours sleep. Dad would go back to work, and then would have to wake up to go to school. But like looking back on that, it was just, and I ended up not even making that team. I ended up getting cut. And then the following year we moved down to Mandurah. But it's just like when you look back on stuff like that, you sort of take it for granted when you sort of, you know, get there in the end. But yeah, definitely thankful for everything Mum and Dad did. It's just, you know, I would never be able to stand here and say that I've done this all on my own. It's, you know, and I don't think any of the boys would be able to say that either. So it's pretty special.
Back to you and Hard. Your parents obviously live down in Mandurah. Do you have any plans for Mother's Day this Sunday?
Yeah, I do actually. We so my girlfriend and she is very like into her family as well. So we decided that we're gonna get them both our families together, and obviously abiding by the rules. And we're gonna all put them into one house, and so it's gonna be me, my parents, her and her parents, and they got a pool table, and we'll obviously cook some good food, so should be all right. Obviously, I'll just give her a big hug and a kiss for her present, and that's about it.
And propose, I heard.
Yeah, I was about to sounds very formal.
Propose.
I'll give it a couple years for that. I don't put anything on my mind.
Actually, I saw on the news that, on an ad, one lady wants her son to write her a letter for Mother's Day on how much she means to her. You should do that, Tevin.
Yeah.
That sounds like a hint.
I have 3 pages, please.
I'll give you something close. So to close off, I'll get all the boys to send off a Happy Mother's Day message to their mums individually. Hodge, I'll start with you because you're the best with your words.
Oh, right. I'm already my Happy Mother's Day was when it arrives at a present on Sunday, all nicely wrapped up, and spent my whole ISO money. But yeah, no, obviously to all mums, but especially my mother, Happy Mother's Day, and I think everyone on this screen wouldn't be where they are today without probably their mothers more than their dads, although the dads will probably take the credit. The mums probably do the more work. And put for the front rowers, put food on the table for them. For us skinnier backs, rowers and backs, they did the chores for us. So yeah, appreciate everything my mum's done for me, but I think every mother deserves a reward for putting up with a rugby player at some stage.
Dom, you go next, mate.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I can sort of echo what Hodge said. Just a huge thank you to everyone, all the mums really, but especially you, Mum. You've done an awesome job, and I can't thank you enough.
Did you? Ian?
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure. I didn't hear that properly. That's it. There's a helicopter circling above my house. I'm not sure why. Anyway.
Where's Riley?
Yeah, probably running right somewhere. No, Mum, obviously, wishing you a very happy Mother's Day. Sorry we can't be there to celebrate with you, but I'll be thinking of you all the way over here in Perth. Also, another happy Grandmother's Day as well for Riley girl. We're all very lucky to have you in our lives, and like I just said, I wouldn't be where I am without your love and support and guidance. And now that I'm a parent myself, you know, figuring out and more understanding what you guys went through and all the love and guidance you gave me is incredibly inspiring. So, yeah, hope you have a great day and love you heaps.
Thank you.
Shem?
Yeah, happy Mother's Day, Mum. I'm literally about to get in the car and drive to her place as soon as this is finished. So it's not much that I can say now that I won't be saying in 20 minutes. But yeah, got to say thank you for everything that you've done and always looked after me and put me first in a lot of places where I'm sure it would have been hard for you guys. So, but thank you. Thank you for everything.
Love you, bud.
And Tevin, lucky last.
Yeah, no, happy Mother's Day, Mum. Obviously the rock in the family, everything that you hold, you know, our whole family together. So if it wasn't for you, all the love that we have in us wouldn't really, we wouldn't be able to put that out to the world. So love you, Mum. Happy Mother's Day, and no doubt I'll see you soon for a beverage or two. So love you.
Engagement party. All be there.
I can't afford the ring, Hodger. I can't afford the ring.
You're better off doing it now while you only have to invite 20 people.
Thanks for everyone getting involved in this, especially the mums that joined in. And I'm glad this worked out the way it did. Cheers to everyone that came through. And yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Thanks for
And also-
organising. Thanks,
Yeah.
Josh. Thanks,
Thanks for
guys.
organising, Reece.
Mother's Day also.
Yeah, on behalf of the players, Reece, thanks for this. I think everyone
Thanks,
was
mate.
quite surprised when they jumped on and saw their mum, and everyone was a bit annoyed at you while they're waiting in the waiting room. But we now know. So thanks, Reece, and I know Helen's in the background. So thank you, Helen.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Reece.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
guys.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.